Now we're under contract prior to contingencies being removed. Now we're in business. This is exciting, isn't it? But don't get too excited just yet. We have to go through the contingency time frame. The buyer will now secure their loan, have the inspection period or due diligence on the property, and review all reports and disclosures. This typically takes about 7 to 15 days, depending on what was agreed upon in the sales contract. In some cases, when you're dealing with a very desirable property that has multiple offers, we can negotiate where there are no contingencies, but this isn't quite as common as we would like. During the due diligence period, the buyer can back out of the contract if they aren't happy with something that shows up in the reports, the disclosures, or in the inspections that they've decided to have done. After reviewing the reports and having all the inspections, this is typically when the buyer will be asking for repairs to be done or requesting a credit for items that they found during the inspection period. The buyer also has the option to back out of the contract if they choose. If we can't come up with a mutually agreeable terms between the buyer and the seller, they can choose to back out. Also, if for some reason, if they aren't able to qualify for the loan or if the home does not appraise and we can't come up with a mutually agreed upon price based on the appraisal, the buyer can also back out of the contract. You need to understand that if the home does not appraise at the contract price, then the lender will only loan money based upon the lower of the appraised value or the sales price. And obviously, they take into consideration what the buyer is actually qualified for. Any additional money required would need to be made up from the buyer or the seller, and they'd have to agree and adjust the sales contract. Again, unless you've countered out any of these contingencies and they are not made part of the original contract or the counteroffer, the buyer has the right to back out of the contract and the seller cannot retain the earnest money. This is why it's essential to hire a seasoned agent like myself who knows how to properly vet buyers and their offers. An agent who asks the right questions and has the right conversations with the buyer's agent and the lender. The buyer's deposit is only at risk if they've officially removed their contingencies. So I'll always advise my clients not to start packing their bags until the contingency periods are over. Also, once those contingencies have been removed, continue to prepare for your move as soon as possible so that we can keep within our contractual timelines. Once contingencies are removed, now you can feel a little relief and have more assurance that the sale is going to go through. You should be moving soon.